Teams just beginning to come up the tunnel now. England getting into their position, led of course by Bobby Moore, who made his 100th appearance for England against Scotland in February, with Peter Shilton behind him. Shilton, in fact, who really established himself as the #1 England goalkeeper with another very good performance that night. The Scots now coming out. Billy Bremner, their skipper. FA officials looking anxious to make sure that the moment is right for the teams to make their entry, because everything is done like clockwork at Wembley. Crowd haven't seen them yet. You can. In a moment, the 100,000 here in magnificent Wembley Stadium will give vent to its feelings. Alistair Hunter, the goalkeeper behind Billy Bremner, playing his first home international match. He's won 2 other caps for Scotland against Peru and Yugoslavia. Moore, who looks so casual, so composed. And here they come. Scotland's pride needs to be salvaged this afternoon in time for important World Cup games that are coming up against Czechoslovakia. The Scots, with such a very good chance of getting through to the World Cup finals next year, will look most of all for an honourable result here today. They've not beaten England since 1967, but that was also on this same stadium when very few gave them a chance just after England had won the World Cup. Going to the presentation area where they'll be presented to the Right Honourable Earl of Harwood, who is waiting now just beneath the Royal Box. You can see him there. Honorary Vice President of the Football Association. Davy Hay in the centre of your picture, Lou Macari on the right of the picture, McGrain the full-back in between them, and the Earl of Harwood now coming out, accompanied by members of the Scottish FA and the Football Association. First of all with Billy Bremner, and a lifelong supporter of Leeds United. I would think probably talking about Salonika and Leeds' lack of luck there with Alistair Hunter and Sandy Jardine. Kenny Dalglish scored Scotland's goal against Northern Ireland. McGrain, Danny McGrain. Lou Macari, the little man who's got the habit of picking up useful goals. Big Derek Johnston, only 19 years old. It's going to be quite a task for him. Another word with another Leeds United player there, Peter Lorimer. Big Jim Holton, the number 5 from Manchester United, and Willie Morgan. So a great task facing Billy Bremner's Scots this afternoon as the Earl of Harwood now with Sir Andrew Stephen of the Football Association going across to Bobby Moore. Peter Shilton. Martin Peters being presented and Colin Bell. Mick Challen, who's also revolutionised the England striking force there with Alan Clark. Seems to enjoy having a word with those Leeds United players again. Martin Chivers, who's had a good home. Goals against Northern Ireland last Saturday and one against Wales. Last year. While the teams are anxious now to get on with the action, first we have the national anthem. So for the players, as the Earl of Harwood goes back to the royal box, at last for the players the formalities are over, and now they can begin to flex their muscles and really think about what it's all about this afternoon. Let's catch up on the two teams. As we said just a few minutes ago, England unchanged. That's the team that beat Wales handsomely by 3-0. Scotland, badly hit by injuries, now bring in Hunter, Jardine and Lorimer, and have Bremner and Macari, who were substitutes on Wednesday, starting at the first whistle today. Challen, one of the famous C's in that England striking trio. Martin Chivers is another one. And number 10, Alan Clark, is the third. And the man who might be facing them is Alistair Hunter. At the other end, Peter Shilton, superbly built and really is beginning to establish himself as England's number one. Exudes a tremendous confidence that teams like to see in goalkeepers. Martin Peters, who's been fighting for his England place recently, but scored a very good goal on Tuesday night against Wales, and scored one in this corresponding match 2 years ago here at Wembley. The German officials, brightly dressed in red jerseys with black shorts. Last thoughts from Jimmy Hill?
Well, just for those of you who didn't hear the views of the panel earlier on, Derek Dougan feels that lots of goals are going to be scored this afternoon, and they're going to come from England. He feels it's a tremendous test for Jim Holton and David Johnson to hold the 3 C's of the England attack. Because they haven't had many games together, and Scotland's real struggle is to make the 11 players they have into a team, and particularly in defence. Jackie Charlton didn't want England to win by too many because he thinks it would be very disappointing for Scotland and bad for football and injure their World Cup chances, but he expects England to win the match. Malcolm, surprisingly, doesn't expect goals. He thinks 0-0 because Scotland will come down determined not to lose, and that they'll string players across the middle of the field and battle their hearts out to keep England at bay. Paddy, of course, the Scotsman with all the heart, sometimes misunderstood. He really wants Scotland to win, but at times too he savages them when they don't come up to his expectations. More than anything else, I think he would like to be down there on the pitch this afternoon. He's hoping for Scotland, but he still feels as a professional that England are going to win this match. I go along with that view.
So there we are, summed up by the experts. Now it's 90 minutes for you to sit back and enjoy. Willie Morgan there for Scotland. England will be defending the goal to our right. White shorts and blue shorts. Scotland in the famous dark blue of Scotland with white shorts and red stockings. They say that this is the match that Sir Alf Ramsey likes to win. He likes to win everyone, just as Bobby Moore does. So away we go then. Now Bobby Moore, high into that Scottish penalty area, but Holton was there. Peters to Bremner, the only Scot to have played for Scotland here at Wembley, although Lorimer, of course, has played for Leeds. Dalglish just a fraction too far ahead of Peter Lorimer. Alan Clark being watched very closely by David Hay. McFarlane back to Shilton. And now with Bobby Moore. Ball. Hughes to Moore. High towards Clark. Hay again is stuck very close to Alan Clark. Holton. There's David Hay. Moore again getting in with a good clean header coming above Macari. Throw to England, or rather to Scotland. And Bremner's going to take it. There's Hay again behind him. Well, two of them thought they were going to take it, and they decided to leave it in the end to number 10, Hay. Morgan. Bremner. Macari. So very quick, but slipping there on the turf. Hughes safely back wide of the goal to Shilton. Ball. Played nicely there for Bell, who was right up there. Peters too right in there, but now it falls for Macari. On the far side is Lorimer, in a lot of space now for Scotland. The man with the cannonball shot, and a great save by Shilton. Well, that was an extraordinary break there by Scotland, and it looked odds on. Although Shilton is applauding, England, I'm sure, would be applauding him. A corner then for Scotland.
I was surprised here that he took it with the side of his foot, which gave Shilton the chance to read it. He should have hit it with his instep. He tried to be careful and couldn't. Now
Morgan again. Now with Hay. So the first break, if not the first blood, to Scotland. And a free kick given. That a goal then really would have been just what Scotland needed to lift themselves. Hay with the free kick, and Shilton using his fist. Dalglish nodding it back again, but no problems in a goal kick. The pitch playing very fast, Jimmy.
Yes, it is. Much faster than the cup final, where they had all that rain and it really slowed it down and players were having difficulty. It was slithering about. But today it's very, very fast and it looks very even. It's playing well, but the players will take a moment or two to get used to the pace of it.
Clark's header. Shannon was hoping to get there, but Derek Johnston was there before him. McFarlane, a nice little touch-off for Peter Storey. Coming towards Chivers, and Holton really clattering after him as well. Jardine got in well there for Scotland as Shannon began to threaten. Not a very good ball there, I think, for Bremner, and Peters trying the shot. Hay. Back for Alistair Hunter. Earlier this season playing in the reserves for Kilmarnock before he was signed for Celtic. Hay now for Scotland. Morgan helping it on its way. Bremner too. Bremner, who came on as a substitute and really lifted Scotland a little bit on Wednesday night, could be a tremendous influence today. Again Hay watching Clark very closely. Danny McGrain on the far side now for Scotland. Dalglish will have to go for that one. McGrain. And England get a throw. Roy McFarlane very quick on the ground, and he'll probably need to be against Macari today. Storey. McFarlane again. Good swift control, kept his head. Clark going for this one. Touch towards Mick Channon. Bell happy to let that go over for England's throw. Story now. Clark wanting it in the air, signalling for Story. And again, Hay was right back there in defence. Ball now, leaving it for Hughes. Alan Ball. Holds him away. Nicely directed header to Bremner. McGrain on the far side. The Scots moving well at the moment. Bremner put under pressure by his Leeds teammate Alan Clark there. McFarlane beating Lorimer quite easily in the air. Alan Ball in the middle of the field. Now it's Hughes. And again, we got an example of how fast that pitch was playing. Hughes really had to struggle to keep that in. Jardine back to Hunter. Now it's with Ball. Hughes. Shannon saying he wants it down the touchline. That's where he's got it. But Johnston is right there with him, and a rather clumsy challenge there by Derek Johnston, the young Rangers defender from behind. And Jardine being called back to the referee for a moment there, kicking that ball away. So it's a free kick then to England. Chivers will be one of the men that Martin Peters will aim for. Hughes is taking it instead. Shannon is waiting too with Chivers. Clark is in there also. Played along the ground to Alan Ball. Chance of a shot and well blocked there by Kenny Dalglish. McFarlane's header. Hay getting it away. The Scots playing with a lot of spirit. Free kick, given against David Hay, a shake of the hand with Colin Bell, that's the right sort of spirit. Ball, good cross by him, and Holtham just managed to clear Shannon's head, and no more. Hughes. Scotland for the moment, penned well inside their own half. Bobby Moore. Hughes, first time. Holton again winning it in the air, but this time Ball, a little touch this time for Peters, and Scotland's Bremner getting it to Willie Morgan. Nice gliding run there by Morgan. He's got Dalglish and McGrain over on the left. That's the ball for Danny McGrain. And Morgan, having given the pass, carried on his run. Hughes had gone with him. It'll be a throw to England. Too much time to spare there for Shilton either. Like a little wasp around a defence is Lou Macari, but a little too waspish there. Shannon, a beautiful header. Can Clark get in on it? Jardine carefully back to Hunter. That was a good break by Clark. Bell, Chivers versus Holton. Jardine, Johnston, Bell and Ball. That'll be McGrain's. McFarlane's header to Peter Story and in for Ball. Nice combination there by England. McFarlane now toe punting it left-footed to Bobby Moore. Bell in a lot of space over on the right, crying out for it, but it's Hughes instead now on the left. Shannon let that go. Hay's coming, and Hay and Hunter. There was a misunderstanding there for Scotland, but they've got themselves out of it, and now it's with Billy Bremner. Challenged by Chivers, and a fair challenge according to the referee. And it's with Ball now for England. Shannon away on the left. What a good ball from Alan Ball, seeking him out, and a corner to England. Off Jim Holton. Big, tough Manchester United defender, exposed once or twice there by the fleet-footed Irish on Wednesday night. Roy McFarlane again coming up for England. So devastating for Derby County in these sort of situations. Peters on the goal line for England. Ball with the corner. Peters couldn't quite get a head to it. Hay really didn't get a proper head to it. Chivers Clark, but the Scots are going to get it away with Kenny Dalglish. McFarlane's challenge from behind unfair. Free kick to Scotland. Scotland so far, Jimmy?
Well, they're playing with greater determination than England, without any doubt. The idea of them coming, spreading players across the pitch in two lines to defend, looks as if what they're trying to achieve, and they're successful at the moment, but it's how long they can keep that up.
Hay with the free kick, looking for Lorimer. Now it's a throw to Scotland. Just over 10 minutes gone, still no score. Macari very quick there to get in front of McFarlane, but I don't see how he could possibly expect that was his throw as well. Roy McFarlane. Shannon to ball. Hughes. Shannon again. He's outwitted Jardine beautifully there. Tackle from behind by Hay on Martin Peters. Moore now with the free kick, taken towards the near post. Clark is there, and Johnston finally nods it away. Ball. Moore. Trying to find Clark again. Hay is there. Moore with the header. Beautifully, delicately played there for Martin Peters. Hughes. Clark can't get there, but Hughes might get another chance, this time for Bobby Moore. Moore again, and the ball out of play. Scotland's throw. Bremner to Morgan. Well, he's hurdled over Peters. Bremner right up there with the attackers. Morgan, Peters to Hughes. Very cool play there by England inside their own penalty area. Hughes again, and finally away, but the gain only as far as Billy Bremner. Morgan. That Shilton's got to come for that one. A sure catch. Hay, already his socks about his ankles. And Moore has got to get to that one. And even then, he was firmly in control, although really challenged hard by Morgan, carefully playing it off Morgan for the goal kick. But the Scots playing, one would think, almost 100% better than they did, certainly with a lot more fire and determination than they ever showed against Northern Ireland at Hampden. And the crowd are beginning to rise to them as well, all their supporters. Shannon's header. Bell, and again a Scottish boot was there first. Bell with the header. Johnson. And now Jardine. Played every game this season for Glasgow Rangers. England's throw. Hughes to Bobby Moore. Shannon. Ball over on the right is Bell. Behind him is Story. Shannon. Macari going in behind him, forcing him into that error. They're really doing a tremendous amount of hustling, these blue-shirted Scots, this afternoon. Not too many pretensions about attack. They've packed the midfield, they've packed their defence. Although, ironically, they've had the one real chance so far with Peter Lorimer. That was a push in the back, surely, on Martin Chivers. And I would have thought Sir Alf Ramsey quietly puffing away there, is maybe just a little bit concerned with the way England have started. And Willie Ormond, a man under such tremendous pressure, must at the same token be quite pleased with the way his Scottish side has begun. Certainly Willie Ormond must have instilled it in them between Wednesday and today that there is a greater need for effort and determination in the side. Moore then looking to organise his defence as the Scottish skipper Billy Bremner takes the free kick. McFarlane's header away. McGrain to Bremner. McGrain. And now it's Hughes for England. Clark. Back for Bell. Hughes again. Story free over on the right. Everybody now, bar Shilton, well inside that Scottish half. Scotland with everybody back. Chivers. Moore again. Clark has made a good break there, but Moore's passing for once was just a little bit off the mark. Lou Macari there, close at hand with Bobby Moore. And now it's with Lorimer. McFarlane has come away from the middle and Lorimer's now put it through there. And Shilton again, a sure catch once more. McGrain for Scotland. Shannon, yes, some really tigerish tackling from behind by the Scottish defenders, that time by Johnson on Shannon. But Shannon unscathed. Ball now for England. A bit low, and in fact it was Clark who just got the header to it. Morgan. Scotland still playing with these four men basically in the middle of the field, four at the back and only two who give a suspicion up front. Macari, McGrain. Bremner. Is this a chance for Bremner to let fly? Blocked by the opposing skipper Bobby Moore. Hughes, but Bremner, who at the moment seems to be everywhere in the middle of the field for Scotland. There's a good ball from Jardine to McGrain. Inside for Dalglish. Brought down a little too aggressively there by Peter Story. Dalglish, who likes to be a striker, but Paddy Crerand was saying the other night is much better as a midfield player, which is basically where he's playing so far this afternoon. So Bremner, so far quite clearly the inspiration for Scotland. Holton's gone right up there, the two number 5s marking each other. McFarlane for England. And Holton is the man that Bremner's aimed for. And a free kick given inside that area to England. So Holton now goes back to a defensive position. Incredible to think that earlier this season he was in the 3rd division with Shrewsbury. Moore now for England. Story. Shannon slipped a bit there as he went for it, but now it's Bobby Moore collecting again for England. Clark making a run, but they are marking so well, the Scots, and Hay in particular. Just look at the battle scars on him, white all over that blue shirt of Scotland, and he probably has marked as well as anybody. Chivers, though, with a long throw for England. Peters has come towards it. Morgan, nice chest tackle, Lorimer rather. Certainly hope is beginning to be born in a lot of Scottish hearts this afternoon. Bremner. England's throw. One of the few misplaced passes so far this afternoon from Billy Bremner. Moore. Chivers beaten in the air again by Holton, and Macari getting in as well. Infringement there by Macari, giving England the free kick. Shannon. Ball, nicely played sideways to Story. Back in again there, this time to Martin Chivers. Played for ball again, and Clark, can he get through? Clark, is he through? No, the linesman on the far side is flagging. And as Clark went through, he obviously must have been in an offside position. So no goal for England. Bell. Shannon. Again hustled off the ball by Johnston and finding Dalglish. It turned now to Macari and it turned to Lorimer. Surrounded now by white shirts of England. McGrain. Hay. Halfway through the first half, and the Scots are still making the running. Macari, has he got the speed to get beyond Story? Whistle gone. Foul by Story on Macari. Free kick to Scotland. Holton again coming up. Dalglish and Morgan standing over it. Morgan finally takes it. And a goal kick. Well, certainly Alistair Hunt has had less to do so far this afternoon than Peter Shilton. Now it's with Alan Ball. Good ball there from him. Oh, and a nice backheel now, Clark! No, it is wide! Beautiful combination by England with Shannon and Clark combining superbly, and Clark missing a good chance.
It's a first-class through ball here from Ball. Really caught them out. A lovely backheel. Clark takes just a little time, and in the end he's hurried there to screw his shot past the post. A lovely bit of combination there.
The first real sign of the afternoon that the seas have begun to understand each other. That time it was Shannon and Clark. Good play again by Bremner, good quick turn. Morgan. Another good snaking run by Willie Morgan. And a pass from Macari that finds him offside. Morgan realising, and I think Macari, in his heart, would have known he was offside as well. Chivers trying to jump in ahead of Holton to distract him, I suppose, more than anything. Hay keeping the ball in play very well. It comes through for Macari, a touch for Morgan. But now it's Bell for England with Story marauding down the right. Moore. Strange ball that really didn't give Chivers too much of a chance, but it gives England a throw. McFarlane, that's the one for him. Bell, Touched on again for Story. Bell to Ball. And good interception there by Derek Johnston. Story, Ball v Bremner, quite a collision between those little men in the middle of the field, and the Scot won it. And Moore working very hard indeed on Lorimer. So uncharacteristic of Bobby Moore, and being told to calm it by the referee.
In the end, of course, Bobby Moore found himself not being able to get through to the ball. It was on the other side, and he found himself struggling, tried to get that right foot through for the ball, and brought Lorimer down in one great heap. It's interesting to note that there's similarity in some ways between this and the cup final, in which the team supposedly superior have had a more casual and relaxed attitude to it, and, as Leeds did, and Scotland, like Sunderland, there it is once again from behind. You can see he was left struggling on the wrong side of the man for the ball, made his challenge, and uncharacteristically for Bobby Moore, really sided his man down. But I was saying that Scotland really are winning the challenges. They're winning the contest, the tussles, the pushes and the shoves, and most of the balls in the air, because they feel they have to pull out something extra. They have the best attitude to the game at the moment. England have the skill, but have got to produce it.
And McGrain producing the skill there for Scotland, going past Martin Peters. So a throw to Scotland. Bremner and Morgan. Yes, he just kept it in. Crossed again there. Lorimer was right in there. Hughes getting it away, but really only at the second go. Moore, a little chip there towards Alan Ball. Turned on for Chivers. Back for Ball again. A beautiful ball played by him. Well taken by Channon, and Chivers has gone through. Oh, and Chivers stepped on it when he was right in the clear, but just a suspicion of England beginning to find some the right sort of form and combination amongst their front runners, and twice they've been set free by beautiful balls from Alan Ball. Ball again now in possession for England. Peters, and now Shannon. Running straight into Lorimer. Moore now played first time quickly and accurately to Hughes. Peters. Shannon. Nice little chip there. Bell had got in there. That was a good jump to get it away from Bell by Big Jim Holden. Lorimer. Now it's with Ball. Bell. Story. Clark played on nicely for Colin Bell. And Bell surely pushed off that by number 8, Macari. Free kick. Alan Ball to take it for England. And Bremner standing, I would have thought, 3 yards off the ball, when he's got to be 10. Being told to go back by the referee. And the referee really has got to take a firm hand on this particular situation. And he's reached for a moment into his back pocket. He must make sure that defending balls are back 10 yards. There's Ball with the kick. And Chivers! Oh, and a magnificent save by Alistair Hunter. Never seen Wembley before until today.
Free kick. There it is, coming in. Chivers rises, meets it well. He's going to his right, checks, up he goes with 2 hands and pushes over the top. That'll make him feel an awful lot better.
Corner cleared there by Hay, helped on by Morgan. Ball turning it back to Bell, who's unmarked on the right. Nice cross there by Bell. Clark was getting in there, and again Hunter has to push it over, and I would have thought did himself a bit of damage on that goalpost as well. Ran straight into it.
Look at it now. The cross coming over. I think he's hit his knee on the post as he goes up. It certainly wasn't his head, wasn't his hands. Just let's look now carefully. There he goes. And crash the leg, I think, or the arm there, goes against the post. A sickening fall, that, without any doubt. And immediately hit the floor, he signalled that he was badly injured.
It looks like the left leg, Jimmy.
Yes, it does. The trainer's down there. Obviously not a break. And he's feeling better. Thank goodness for that, because that would have been a really nasty moment for him in the Scotland.
And it causes a few worry lines there for Willie Ormond. On the left of your picture, Asa Hartford, of course, one of the substitutes.
Once again, we can look happily now, knowing that it's not really serious. It was a very brave save, that, because he had to disregard the post. And look at him. He's strung round it, shakes the net, and hits the floor. But he's on his feet. He's on his feet, back in the goal.
A corner then to England. Far right up for England. All the big men are in there. And McFarlane just got ahead to it. But it's a goal kick to Scotland, or maybe a free kick because McFarlane was pushing down. So quite a minute there for Alistair Hunter. As I was saying, he hadn't even seen Wembley until he arrived here yesterday with the Scottish team. Bounce of the ball beating Allen Ball, and Macari with his speed beating Story. Bremner. Good ball there to Willie Morgan. And now for Jardy. Macari's waiting on the far side, and Macari with a chance, and Shilton is out. Scotland thought they should have had something there.
Without any doubt there, Macari didn't like that decision. Here it is now. You can see Story's beaten, turns round, recovers. Does he make a challenge for the ball, or does he hit Macari afterwards? For me, he was fractionally late.
Right, Hughes now for England. Shannon's header. Hunter coming again, and used his fist well there. Couldn't take a chance with a catch. Good play again by Willie Morgan. And at the moment, the Scots are matching England all along the line. McGrain couldn't keep that in, though. And a lot of it stems from this little man in the number 4 shirt, who had really a disappointing game here in the cup final for Leeds. Peters turning it back. Bell, will he get a chance to have a shot? No, because Lorimer's there. Supported again by Jardine, and now it's Willie Morgan. Bremner in the middle. Hay away, Dalglish away on his left. Beautifully played for Kenny Dalglish. Macari, the lone Scot up front, though, surrounded by some 6 English defenders. But now with David Hay. The cross again towards Macari, too high for him. Lorimer. A lower cross, Morgan with a shot, and that ricocheted off Bobby Moore, and Story had to put it behind for the corner. So the Scots are taking this game by the throat, and are really coming hard at England now. Willie Morgan's done a lot of good work as well. Holton again up there, seeking to keep this pressure on England, hoping for the little crack that might lead to a goal. Morgan again with the corner for Scotland. Holton, in fact, getting ahead to it. Hay also getting ahead to it. Clark is right back there. And it's Emlyn Hughes turning it one side of Bremner, hoping to go the other. Bremner, though, getting there first. Hay. And Macari to Bremner. The ball's still just in play. Hay towards Dalglish, and now Morgan. Can he line up a shot? No, and it'll be a throw to Scotland. Peter's not happy with that one. So Hay for Scotland to Morgan, played on for Hay again, and stopped in his tracks by Bobby Moore. And a note of exasperation there in Bobby Moore's voice, I would think, certainly in his expression. And England at the moment still finding it very hard to get to grips with his Scottish side. That really looked like a fall by Hay, but the linesman, I think, was influenced by Hay's falling, and the referee agreed, so he's given Scotland a free kick. with 10 minutes to go to half-time and still no score. And the underdogs, just like Sunderland did a couple of weeks ago, are giving a very good account of themselves. But Bell gets that one away for England. Chivers. And there was a clash of heads there between Jardine and Chivers. Chivers caught it on the back of the head, and perhaps a little more seriously, Jardine on the forehead. And I would have thought Alan Ball a little exasperated like Bobby Moore, having words with Emlyn Hughes. Jardine all right to go. Clark's jump and header. Shannon. Falls for Willie Morgan. To Billy Bremner. Lorimer's away over on the left. That's Peter Lorimer now for Scotland with Macari in the middle. Now can he get past Story? No, but he's got a corner. England at the moment looking as haphazard as they did for long spells against Northern Ireland at Goodison Park last Saturday. Really must have been surprised by the fervour in these Scots. There's the corner, and Shilton could take no chances at all and had to palm that one away for another corner. And this magnificent Wembley Stadium really buzzing with the prospect maybe of another surprise here as Scotland still keep up the pace. Morgan now with this corner for Scotland. Holton was right in there, not a very good header though. Peters, Chivers, Bell. That's for Story. And Shannon beaten by Johnston, who went through with his challenge well to beat Peters too. Bremner.
Bremner, reckoned by a lot of people not to give his best performances for Scotland, is certainly giving lie to that argument today.
Story now for England. Ball. McFarlane to Ball. To Bobby Moore. Chivers. Ball. And Holton went in there. Whether he caught Ball a little late, he must have done. But I would have said that was accidental because he was challenging hard for the ball in the first place. So 2 balls on the floor there. The ball they're playing with, an Alan Ball as well.
One of the reasons you always get these back is because a player's injured afterwards and there's a moment of time. Look at it now. I think you'll see that fairly that Holton went through there. Well, in fact, the ball hit him on the hands as he protected his face. I don't think he had any idea where he was going, but there's no doubt that Alan Ball got the worst of it and was winded. I think nothing more than that. A little wipe with the magic sponge from Harold Shepperson, and you feel like a new man.
So no blame attached to this big fella. And a free kick to England. Bobby Moore's taking it. Just look how Holton is leaning on Chivers there. 6 to 1, half dozen the other, and the fight continue. And now Lorimer for Scotland, but the whistle has called the action a long way back here. Now what's the referee doing? Free kick to Scotland, I think, for Chivers backing in on Holton, probably.
I think you'd call that a delayed action decision. The Scots appealed, and there was no doubt that Chivers really was hanging on to Holton there. It's a bit of a tussle between them all the while. When Manchester United played Spurs, the same sort of wrestling matches were going on, and the referee gave a delayed action decision, said, I'd rather be late a few seconds, right a few seconds later than be wrong and let the play go on.
So we're now coming towards the last 5 minutes of the first half, and Scotland are holding on to a 0-0 draw. And around Wembley Stadium, it's Scottish voices that you're hearing now. McFarlane again. Peters to Ball. Now for Peter Story. That's another good accurate cross by Story, but Holton's on the end of it again for Scotland. Bobby Moore looking to pick up an England colleague. Chivers coming for it, but beaten by Holton. It's with Bell and now with Ball. Played for Story. Crossed again there. Bremner, a very delicate header sideways there by Billy Bremner. So aware that McGrain was on the outside of him. And it's Bremner on the ball again for Scotland. Well, a funny old pass, but it's found Sandy Jardine. Morgan. Hughes backing off him with the 1-2. Came back from Macari just a little too fiercely for him. But we keep looking at Bremner, and Bremner's had a great influence, but Morgan's had a good first half as well for Scotland. Well, that was a funny throw, and nobody from England seemed to want it, and two Scots were there to pounce. It's Morgan, number 7, with Macari to help him. Morgan again. Hay. Macari, a tight little corner there, and Scotland for a moment saw daylight, and then Alan Ball came in. England's throw. Chivers coming hard for it. Hay just getting a boot there first. Bremner. Jardine to Hay. Oh, and Macari's got behind Moore, but McFarlane that time to the rescue for England. But it's a corner for Scotland. 3 minutes to go to half-time. No, it's a throw. Lorimer. A deep cross towards Kenny Dalglish. Bremner's there as well. Good ball there by Bremner, but McFarlane read it well, but gave away the corner. And at the moment, nothing is going right for England. They've been put under pressure by a very determined Scottish side, and that's probably the reason nothing's going right for them. They've been thrown completely out of their stride. There's the cross towards Lorimer. Will he hit that first time? Not with his usual style, though. Lorimer's header again. Macari, quicker to react than anyone, and Shilton punching it away. And there's a funny, lackadaisical, haphazard way once or twice with England deep in defence. So very, very casual. Moore's pass to Hughes. And he's beaten by Willie Morgan. And now it's Lorimer. 4 or 5 English defenders back. And only Macari was up, and he had no hope of reaching that one. So the English defence once or twice has been caught a little wobbly, and once or twice has been caught out by the speedy darts of Lou Macari getting in behind them. But Shilton, here's Bremner, but Peter Shilton has let nothing by. Peters to Bell. He really has done a tremendous amount in the middle of the field, Colin Bell. And it's there with Bremner and with Morgan in particular that Scotland have looked so impressive. They've contested every yard of this Wembley pitch. Bobby Moore. McGrain. Macari. Bell now for England. Across towards Shannon, he's going in on it, but Johnston was there again before him. Ball leaping above Bremner, free kick to Scotland. Well inside the last minute of the first half. to Hughes, to Moore. Well, there was a bit of indecision there with the McFarlane. He's given Macari possession now to Lorimer. Scots are up in some strength now, Lorimer still. And now for Morgan, is this the chance for him to hammer one in? Just a fraction too high. Well, that all stemmed from Roy McFarlane getting caught in possession. And Lorimer with the cross that Morgan tried to tee up. But England were coming hard at him, and it was a shade too high. Played a minute of injury time at the end of the first half. And there goes the half-time whistle. And a very good first half indeed for Scotland. Well, Willie Ormond, the new Scottish manager, won't have too much work to do at half-time. All he's got to do is to keep this spirit going with the likes of Billy Bremner and Kenny Dalglish. And Hunter, the goalkeeper, with two magnificent saves for Scotland. So really it's a 45 minutes when you have to say to the underdogs again, well done, Scotland. And I'm just wondering what England are going to do about it in the second half. Well, we take a break now. After that break, we come back to our strong talking panel, including Paddy Crerand. I wonder what he's going to say about Scotland so far. So, the break and then the panel. Stay with us. Welcome back into the stadium as the Scottish team, with the banners flying right around Wembley and the smiles on their faces, you can see. They know that they've had a very good 45 minutes behind them. Look at Lou Macari smiling, Sandy Jardine as well. And that's the characteristic urging on of Billy Bremner. tell you what, Lou Macari was looking up there at the ITV panel, and I would think probably at Paddy Crerand, who's had a thing to say about the Scottish side over the last few days. So the Scots are well delighted with the first half of this home international that sees it still at 0-0. And Paddy waving his Scottish banner out there as well, being assaulted there by Malcolm Allison, it seems. And so there's a lot for England to do to rekindle the form and the fire and the flair that they showed against Wales, and above all the finishing power. It'll be Scotland now who kick off, defending the goal to our right. So Bremner giving before the whistle gets us into the second half. He really has played a tremendous captain's part today, you cannot deny that. And so away we go now with Scotland defending the goal to our right. McGrain for them. To Alan Ball. And straight away England have lost a little tussle in the middle of the field where they've lost so many in the first half. Dalglish stopped by McFarlane. Ball now. Clark turned on again for Alan Ball. Ball really put under pressure by his own teammate Peter Storey, and Macari and Ball were facing up to each other, and Ball is absolutely furious with Macari, going on and giving him a piece of his English mind. And the big German referee coming in to try and cool things down a little bit. No doubt at all that Macari savaged Ball way after that whistle had gone. Hughes now for England. Bell beating Bremner. Played through there for Shannon. Now Shannon for Bell. Is it Shannon still? But he's shadowed this time by David Hay. And Clark was waiting. Morgan nipped in before him. There's the ball now for Johnston. The big young fella, only 19, coming out of that challenge well for Scotland. And now away on the left with Danny McGrain. Ball coming in for the second fight. And Ball's fury is high. He didn't like the way Macari went for him. And he's a tremendously fierce competitor, Alan Ball. Not a bad sight for English eyes to see that Ball is a bit stirred up and realises that a lot of work's got to be done in the middle of the field. And a Scot is on the field, and he's had a go at Alan Ball. A Scottish spectator coming on and pushed into Alan Ball. And he's going to have another go. Pulled back now by the police. And that's a terrible thing to have happened. The Scots, who supported their team so well, Jim Holton trying to soothe him, and the police getting him away. Fury on a man's face. Roused by the way that Alan Ball was going on, but Ball, for his part, was savaged by Lou Macari a bit earlier. Well, there's a very strong police cordon around Wembley this afternoon. Down goes Bremner this time.
I don't know whether we can look at that again in slow motion, but it was Bremner really, I think they're trying to inflame the situation. We can't, but he rolled there. Ball played the ball there into touch quite fairly, and Bremner tried to make the most of it.
Now it's Willie Morgan for Scotland. Bobby Moore on the end of it and away. McGrain now. Storey getting it away, but Morgan should collect for Scotland. To say in the first 3 or 4 minutes it was a hard competitive game in the first half. It's taken a rather sinister turn in these first few minutes. Dalglish versus Alan Ball, and Ball winning, and Storey was going in there to add his part, and a free kick given to England. Certainly a sinister twist that the game could well do without. Free kick to England. Moore taking it quickly. Hughes in a lot of space down the left for England. But Scotland with many, many men back. One of them, Lee Morgan. Bobby Moore now for England. Hughes to Moore. Played forward nicely for Chivers. Now can Clark get in on this one? He can't. Another good piece of defence by David Hay. And Scotland with Dalglish. Bremner. Morgan on the far side, beaten in the air by Hughes, and is now with Chivers. Trying to shrug Jardine off the ball, and Holton. Chivers coming back for some more. And finding Peters very well indeed, but the whistle gone, and Chivers was flattened outside the pitch. But gets up with a smile at least. But England must get a free kick. The referee speaking to Jardine.
You can see it now. It really was a brilliant bit of play, the way Chivers wriggled his way up. But once it's done, there's the kick into the back of the legs, the kick from behind. And things are going to get worse unless
now
the
free kick.
Control.
Ball lifting it back again, and Hunter there just before Clark, who was offside. Chivers nodded down this time for Alan Ball. Played first time for Story. Peters has got on a run through the middle. Shannon is there as well. Now it's with Colin Bell. Hit towards Shannon again. Bremner going after him once more, but it's Bell. Story. Now Bell again. And Shannon in fact had gone off the field and had stayed off the field because he didn't want to get offside. Must have thought that when he played the ball towards Story. But it's a throw instead to Scotland. McGrain of Celtic with it. McFarlane going in, being pushed from behind by Lorimer. Both Lorimer and McFarlane really pounding after that loose ball. And now it's with Alan Ball. On the far side is Clark. But Jardine getting it away. Morgan helping it away. Ball for England. Hughes to Bobby Moore. A little chip, but it's straight to Bremner. McFarlane now. Story. Shannon again. But again, the Scot was in first, and that time it was young Derek Johnston, the 19-year-old. Bell. Story, Ball, with a space ahead of him now, closed by Macari. Clark playing it off, Ball again. On the far side it's Hughes. A tremendous barrier of blue there facing England still. Only Lorimer has been left up in the attack. Story and Bell. Ball. Chivers with the header this time, Clark offside. Detect any better signs for England in the second half, Jimmy?
Well, obviously they've come back to fight Scotland and try and win the challenges, and that extra aggression is what's brought about the clashes that have occurred so far. Whereas England were taking it when Scotland were tackling them pretty ferociously early on. When it goes both ways, it looked for a moment as if the game was going to get out of hand. Let's hope it does.
Right, Hay now for Scotland. Lorimer and Macari both wanting it. Lorimer. And Macari's in a little bit of space in that 6-yard area, but Shilton, again, not risking the catch, but favouring the punch. Bremner tried to turn it back, and the ball had gone over for a goal kick. Story, number 2 for England. Shannon again, superbly marked by Johnston. Supporters have made themselves heard again, but the free kick to England. Holton watching Chivers there, really quite a physical tussle there, pushing and shoving all the time. Ball now with this one, and on the far side, Martin Peters! Yes! That's for England! And Peters, who's had such a poor game so far, steals in as he does so often, and that's 1-0 for England.
Typical Spurs dead ball movement in a way, except it's Alan Ball hitting it. You can see how Chivers takes the man out of the way on the dummy. Peters comes in on the far post, completely lost, and makes no mistake from there. Whatever he does in the rest of the game, when he gets around the goal, Peters is devastating.
Well, it was long enough coming for England, and Martin Peters has now made the breakthrough. Scotland have shown great aggression, great courage in defence. Now they've got to show skill in attack to come and wipe that one out. What it'll tend to do now for the 35 minutes or so that remain, it'll open it out a lot. McGrain now for Scotland. Peters, who in fact scored the opening goal of this corresponding game 2 years ago. It's a free kick, once more given to England. A goal that really has silenced the Scots by Martin Peters. Bobby Moore now to Alan Clark. Bremner just beaten there by his Leeds teammate Alan Clark. McFarlane to Ball. Bobby Moore. Played wide for Hughes. But Hughes beaten by Lorimer. Willie Morgan. Oh, and that goes straight to Alan Ball, but Ball's pass a little off the mark as well, and Holton easily back to Alistair Hunter. Jardine. Dalglish said I want it, and Jardine went off on the run. So the Scottish fullback really making the running now, and there's a cross straight at Shilton. For a moment he might let that go and drop it at Lorimer's feet. Chivers ducking underneath him, but it's Dalglish for Scotland. Holton. Macari will struggle to keep that in. England's throw. Well, I think Sir Alf Ramsey a lot happier with that. Yes, a faint smile there. You don't see too many of those in a football match. Chivers now. Hughes has gone galloping down the left, more as a decoy there. Chivers now. Peters couldn't get to that one. David Hay could. It's with Dalglish. Clark challenging hard. Ball also challenging hard, and the ball running England's way to Peter Storey. McFarlane. Peters, a nice little chip there by McFarlane, and well taken by Martin Peters, and also taken by David Hay. Free kick to England.
I think it was a challenge for the ball. He went in all the way. It was late, obviously, but a wild rush more than anything else.
So it'll be Alan Ball taking the free kick, and he's sought out Peter Storey. Clark's going in there. Peters with a header too. Shannon's jockeying for a position, but he jockeyed unfairly. McGrain. Dalglish back to Danny McGrain again. Hay. So much more impressive, David Hay, as a strict defender, as opposed to the midfield man that they tried to turn him into last Wednesday night. So Bremner will have to turn the wick up a little bit more to get Scotland trying just that little bit harder. Willie Morgan. Waiting for Hay to come to him. But Bell giving away another throw, so Morgan can try again. This time he sought out Billy Bremner. Sure, we're going to see a lot more of Bremner coming into the English penalty area now as well. Here's Morgan. Oh, he's got a good chance to make the cross now. Moore getting not really quite there, and in fact McFarlane forced to put it behind for the Scottish corner. Moore was always stretching for that one and explaining it to Peter Shilton. So Roy McFarlane, who conceded that corner under a bit of pressure. And McFarlane getting that one away. Ball galloping after it. Bremner there to contest it with him. And Bremner winning it. David Hay now to Peter Lorimer. Cross again towards Johnson, who's right in there, but Shilton never for an instant took his eye off the ball. Good goalkeeping there. McFarlane for England. Peters. McFarlane. Spraying it away now to Emlyn Hughes, who's got a lot of space there and a chance to make his cross, but he's taken it far too far. Missed a good chance there. Goal kick instead to Scotland. Half an hour to go.
Point there, England spreading the play out, as Malcolm Allison mentioned at half-time. He wants a winger wide on the touchline, because when you're playing against so many players in defence, you've got really to spread it. And Emlyn Hughes plays a restrained game for England. He doesn't push up as much as he does for Liverpool, though of course he normally plays a different position. I'd like to see him force the pace on that flank a little bit more and keep playing it wide.
There's a good header from Clark to Ball, played on for Chivers, and now back for Channon, and Ball had continued that run, and Hunter's got to come. Could have been bouncing very awkwardly with a bit of spin, and Ball was coming hard at him. Hay to McGrain. Dalglish. Beaten by Alan Ball. And a free kick given to England. According to the referee, Kurt Tschenchner from West Germany, the challenge by Dalglish was a little too strong on Bell. So now Ball. Played along the touchline for Shannon. Delicate cross there, but Bell couldn't get to it because Johnson was there. Chivers hitting it first time! And Hunter got well behind that beautifully struck ball from Chivers.
That is the shot of a class player. As it dropped on the volley, and also it's the save of a very promising goalkeeper. He held on to that beautifully.
He really didn't have too much time to weigh it up, but his body was beautifully placed behind it, and now it's with Story. So Peter Story waits for the ball to be returned so that he can take the throw for England. Chivers offside. It's amazing how a goal can silence 30,000 voices, isn't it? And that's the man who did it, Martin Peters. Well, you just caught the odd glimpse of him. Now Houghton for Scotland. Bremner. Morgan. Clark. Turning it back to Moore. Moore didn't have too much time there. But Lorimer was holding on to Moore's shot, and Lorimer might look aggrieved, but that was again a good decision by the West German referee. Jardine. Oh, and misunderstanding there between Jardine and Johnson, and it's Shannon away. But Jardine's making life very difficult for the England player. But England should have got a corner there. Yes, they've got a corner. A spirited running there by Mick Shannon. Ball with the corner for England. Peters at the near post, gliding it back as Alan Gilzean does for his club Spurs, but nobody there quite to take it. Now McFarlane. And he showed far too much of that to Jim Holden, so it's a throw to England. Chivers is coming out, so it'll be a long one. Someone almost certainly will make a run towards the near post, and it's Peters who's done it. And the fists of Hunter getting it to the safety of Danny McGrain for Scotland. Dalglish now to Macari. Pushed in the back by Peterston. Free kick, no arguments. One of the busy little players that England have got to watch now. He's got a habit of scoring important goals, Lou Macari. Hay now forward for Scotland. Back-headed brilliantly there by Bremner, but McFarland with time to turn it back to Shilton. Confronted by Peter Lorre. Shannon out, jumped again by Johnston and found Bremner. The two skippers tussling it away at each other there, and Scotland's Billy Bremner winning it and finding Dalglish. That's a fair-looking ball, but Bobby Moore back beautifully for England there. Well, he didn't stop to ruminate on being beaten by Billy Bremner. He was back where it mattered for England. And now he's found McFarland. Story for England. Chivers. Ball. And ball beaten by Dalglish. Now this might be interesting for Scotland. Lorimer's up there, so too is Morgan. Hay has gone bounding on the outside of Willie Morgan, but Morgan tries the cross instead. Now it's with Lorimer, now with Hay. Lorimer, a low cross, and Shilton again. McFarland to Story. Quite clear there that Johnston was pushing down on Shannon's shoulders. Peters now for England. Well, time to try the shot, and a good catch again there by Alistair Hunter.
Here it is, a first time, well, not a first time, but a fierce left foot shot. Well saved, well caught, nice pair of hands, dropped down in front of him.
Morgan now for Scotland. Hughes to Chivers. And now for Ball. Clark and Peters. Chivers and Shannon are up ahead of him. Chivers now for England. Played wide for Bell, who'd made the run. Hit on the volley first time. A great skill there by Bell, but off target.
See Colin Bell having a go at something like that. Sometimes we feel it doesn't really express himself for England. Plays in rather inhibited fashion. If he just relax and play as he does for Manchester City, he'd be more of a player.
Now McFarland. Chivers. Kick to Scotland. And time running out for Willie Ormond and his Scottish team now. Halfway through the second half. Macari hoping to get in on that one, but it's gone for the goal kick. England's throw. Get the first slight feeling that some of the fervour has gone out of the Scottish play for the moment. They were obviously stunned by that Martin Peters goal, left completely free at the far post for the header. But there's a good ball there from Clark to Bell. And now it's with Ball to Story. Chivers sticking out the long leg, but he couldn't do it the second time. And it's Bremner for Scotland. Really mammoth task in Billy Bremner's shoulders now to lift the Scottish side again after they've given so much, and now the push in the back by Bell on Bremner, causing England to concede another free kick. McFarlane now leaving it for ball, played on for Clark. Now it's Jardine to take it up for Scotland to Willie Morgan. And Lorimer had made the run, but it's Dalglish now away on the left here for Scotland. McGrain, Dalglish. And it's going to be a corner for Scotland. Bremner's already up there. Macari is up there. Willie Morgan is up there. Holton is on his way. McGrain is even in there. Dalglish with a very long corner. McFarlane getting it away as far as Lorimer. Crossed again there. Oh, twoing the players very slow to react there. Chivers and Story between them. And Story had to dive in at the last to give away the corner. McGrain caught England out a little bit there with that short corner. Now Clark with a chance to get it away, but he hasn't really taken. And it's a throw to Scotland. Scotland's throw. Just under 20 minutes to go for Scotland to find from somewhere an equalising goal. Dalglish, again hustled by Peter Story. Again it's a throw for Scotland. It's with Morgan. Now with Dalglish. Now with Hay. Oh, and he kept that in well, Dalglish, to find Willie Morgan. Now with Hay. The cross again, and that's got to be Shilton's. Shannon pushing too hard on Johnston. Pushing at each other, and I think it was an elbow that caught Bobby Moore in the face from Macari. Macari was really swarming all over the England captain. It had to be a free kick to England. And now it's with Story. Bell to Moore. And now it's with Emlyn Hughes. Lost a little bit now as a spectacle, with Scotland really not coming out as hard against England since they conceded that goal as maybe one thought they might have done. So there's a Scottish substitute warming up. Joe Jordan. So a free kick then to Scotland. Leeds United striker waiting to come on, just wondering who he might take off. Any thoughts on that, Jimmy?
Well, either Macari really or Lorimer up front, I would think. Jordan's a player that played very well for Leeds in Salonika. Yes, and it's Macari. Not had a chance really to show his finishing ability, Macari, and not doing that much in the build-up. But in many ways, it's a good performance for Scotland, whatever the final result, because from the sort of dregs of the performance in the middle of the week, they are building a team. You can see signs of teamwork. We've seen a lot of aggression from them, so their World Cup hopes must be that much more promising, whatever the final score today.
So a great chance now for Joe Jordan to make an impact here at Wembley. Bremner, Johnston. Shilton again there before Peter Lorimer. Clark for England. And Jardine shaking off Peters, but he couldn't shake off Clark, but he's given a free kick as some consolation. And it's with Hay. Bremner, a little bit of space there. Being challenged though by Alan Ball. Hughes to Bobby Moore. Hughes again. And that looks as though it could be a corner, and indeed it is a corner. The linesman, if anything, on the far side was a little late arriving there because the ball had been played forward so quickly, but arriving late he may have been, but he gave the right decision, which is a corner to Scotland. So it's a corner, which Peter Lorimer's going to take. Joe Jordan, the substitute, is waiting on for Lou Macari. The far side, but he's beaten in the air by McFarlane. Bell really only putting it back into trouble. Chivers getting it away. Jardine straight at Bobby Moore. McGrain. Dalglish obstructed by Storm. Bobby Moore took a bit of a knock there just a half a minute or so ago, as indeed he did right at the end of the Ireland game. Well, one can only say that with the matches against Czechoslovakia coming up, and much more important, the match against Poland, that World Cup qualifier coming up, the last thing that England would want now is a serious injury to their skipper Bobby Moore. Jimmy, you were going to say something.
No, I was only thinking of Moore's ability. That ball was volleyed at him with a shot there, and somehow it stuck before he cleared it. I think there it is now. That was a volleyed shot for goal. There was an appeal for hands, but somehow with a player like Moore, the ball is immediately under control. How many players in the world could do that? And you see it's the late tackle there coming in as he plays the ball away with his left foot that really did the damage. But I saw the control before, it was marvellous.
Right, so Bobby Moore's all right again. Scotland are trying to urge their team to produce something now as Bremner puts another free kick in, and again Shilton is there, looking so sure, and he really must be giving great confidence to the rest of that England defence now. Really hasn't put a foot or a hand wrong all afternoon, Peter Shilton. Johnston pushing at Shannon. It seems to me that we're getting an infringement now just about every 20 seconds. The game, at the moment, having no chance to get into a flowing rhythm. Story's long cross. Peters heading it down. And a free kick. This time to Scotland. Bremner going down, put there by Hughes, and Bremner going after Emlyn Hughes as well.
Willie Morgan did so well there to stop him, because I think Billy Bremner was going to lose his head at that moment. There's no doubt about it, was a late tackle. Billy Bremner laid it off well. Hughes came right the way through, and we've seen so many of those tackles really today where the player goes knowing that he's either going to get the ball or he's going to carry on and get the man.
Well, in fact, Emlyn Hughes has had his name taken, and I rather fancy that Billy Bremner is having his name taken as well.
I don't know that Billy Bremner did deserve to have his name taken, because thanks to Willie Morgan, he stopped him before he had a chance to do anything. He just ran, and then Willie Morgan intercepted him like you intercept a ball.
Morgan beating Hughes with the header there, though. Joe Jordan now for Scotland, but Hughes for England. Into the path of Alan Ball. Shielding it from Dalglish. Played nicely there to Colin Bell, but McGrain for Scotland. Peters. Ball. Story. Found Peters again. Now Bobby Moore. Ahead of Martin Peters. England kept possession very well here. Peters gliding on, trying a 1-2, brought down surely there by Holton. Well, nothing was given. And so Scotland take up the challenge themselves with Willie Morgan. On my watch, 11 minutes to go, and England still leading by 1-0. Bremner. And Jardine on the far side. And across there for Shildon, punched away from the head of Joe Jordan. Holton. Moore getting it away as Scotland wait to bring on Colin Steen. So there he is, the Coventry striker who had a very disappointing game, in fact, against Northern Ireland in midweek. He's coming on, and Lorimer is going off. So Scotland now have brought on 2 fresh strikers. Steen here is one of them. Joe Jordan is the other one. Hay. And now Jardine. Ball for England. And there's a good break, a tremendous break by Channon. Timed it beautifully so that he was onside when the ball was struck. But there are plenty of blue shirts are back now. Bell desperately trying to get the header in. But that above all was a beautiful run by Mick Channon.
You get a chance to see the acceleration, also the timing of the run. He came from a deep position onside, beautifully timed. Then the ball pushed him a bit wide, and he's got to try and work something from there. He was going to play a short ball, saw Colin Bell, then it goes over, and Bell was just struggling to get the right kind of header in.
So now it's Hay for Scotland. McGrain very delicately inside there for Kenny Dalglish. Just under 10 minutes to go. And a long ball towards Joe Jordan that catches him offside. He didn't time his run quite as well as Mick Channon timed his. So there we stand. England 1, scorer Martin Peters. Scotland 0. And 9 minutes to go. McGrain, who very nearly presented that to Chivers, and he's put Holton in a bit of trouble there. And Holton was too ferociously attacked by a combination of Chivers and Clark. So the big man limps away. Scotland get another free kick. Still playing with just 2 men up, Jordan and Steen. Jordan winning it in the air, but Steen had gone there with him, so there was nobody forward for him to pass to. Get the impression that Scotland would say that the 1-0 defeat after what had gone on before this week was an honourable result for them, because one would really have expected them to maybe to put a little more emphasis on attack in these last quarter of an hour or so. Now Bremner's coming forward. In fact, he's right in there, but McFarlane to Bobby Moore. Oh, and Moore thought twice and had to think twice about passing back because the way was barred, pushing the back there on Alan Clark. So Bobby Moore then will take this free kick. No, he's leaving it for Hughes. Clark's header, but again into no man's land. Hunter taking possession for Scotland. What would you expect Scotland to do now, Jimmy, in the 8 or 9 minutes that remain? They put more men forward?
Well, they must try and do that. Billy Bremner's pushing forward, Morgan is when he can, but it's not easy for these 2 strikers to come on and try and fit into the side. It's the worst position in the world to be as a substitute, and you've got to try and make something out of nothing. It's awkward also for Macari and Lorimer, playing with the tactics that the Scottish team played, to be devastating.
Well, here's Steen, who's got to be fairly devastating in the next 8 minutes or so. Back to Kenny Dalglish. And Jordan had come in a little too far. And so it's a goal kick. Goal kick then to England. Peter Shildon to take it. And now 6.5 minutes to go. Certainly, unless there's a tremendous late flourish, it's not the most exciting or exhilarating England-Scotland match. But if England win, they of course are the undisputed champions with 6 points out of 6. And again, another stoppage. And Shannon clutching that left knee. It's been a very strangely disjointed game, Jimmy, as well, with so many stoppages, hasn't it?
It has now in the second half. The first half I thought was a pretty good half. It was competitive, flashes of good football from both sides, but it has disintegrated a bit now. But it illustrates, whatever anybody says about England, what a very hard team they are to beat at all but the very highest level.
Well, Scotland have 5.5 minutes left as Peters goes in towards that header. Didn't get a clear contact, and it's with Hunter once more. Steen off in chase, Story with him, and Story getting in well there. Dalglish with a throw for Scotland. To Hay. Challenged unfairly by Bell, another stoppage, another free kick. Hay is going to take it. Hit towards Colin Steen. Moore lost that one in the air, and McFarland lost it on the ground. Bremner with a shot. Chasing after it again, and Scotland get the corner, and that really is the sign now for the blue shirts to come forward. Only 2 are left behind as Bremner takes the corner again for Scotland. It's one they had to win, and it's a tremendous shot there by Dalglish against the English post. What a tremendous let-off, and now Ball taking it up for England. And away goes Shannon, but he's offside.
Well, that was a save of a world-class goalkeeper, and also a brilliant volley there with the left foot. Look, he's leaning the wrong way. He goes up with that right hand there and just gets it away. That's a wonderful sign for England's World Cup chances, to see a goalkeeper replacing Banks with that ability.
That really was a tremendous save. My first impression was that it had hit the post, but looking at there again in slow motion, it brings out again the brilliance of Peter Shilton, where we've seen those 2 tremendous saves by him today, from Peter Lorimer in the first half and from Kenny Dalglish there. That pass from Hughes gives nobody any chance. What a tremendous save that was from Peter Shilton, the man who in the last few months now firmly has established himself as a successor to Gordon Banks. Foul against Joe Jordan, another free kick to Scotland. And now we're in the last 3 minutes of the game. It's with Billy Bremner. Morgan getting into a bit of trouble there, and that looks like another free kick to Scotland. So Scotland now are making one last big effort to pressurise this English defence into a mistake, and somehow to find a way past Peter Shilton. Holton is coming up to have his 6'2" and 13 stone to it. Bremner again, the smallest man on the field, with the free kick, and again Shilton there. Beautiful handling. Now it's with McFarland for Bell. Forward for Chivers. But again, these brave and determined Scots have beaten England back, but they desperately need a goal. There's the ball from McGrain, but Story is across to cover and content to concede the corner. That again is the signal for every blue shirt to come forward. Steen already there, right beside Peter Shilton. Joe Jordan is in there too. Holton this time surprisingly is staying back. Dalglish with a corner, and it's a deep one. Johnston nodding it on. Moore back heading it, and Shilton was alive to it. Throw to Scotland. Jardine. On my watch now, a minute and a half to go. Morgan tussling with Martin Peters. Peters winning it, and the referee this time saying play on. So Alan Ball now in a bit of space, but Shannon was tumbled over by Hay, away off the ball there, so it'll be a free kick to England. It'll eat up a few seconds that Scotland can ill afford. In the last minute of the game now. Colin Bell right up there as Bobby Moore takes the free kick for England. And Holton pushing down on the back of Chivers. That has got to be an indirect free kick to England, according to the referee, inside the Scottish penalty area. And by the time it's taken, we are going to be into injury time. And so the time that Scotland argue and organise is time again that they can ill afford. Jardine, Bremner, Holton being pulled there, McGrain, Dalglish there, everybody back except Colin Stein. So that'll be the view, such as it is, that Alistair Hunter's going to get. It's inside the area, 2 yards inside the box, so it's what, 16 yards from the goal, and the wall anything but 10 yards back. We're now going into injury time at the end of this home international, with England leading 1-0. And time is on England's side, with the Scottish ball have got to get back. Ball now playing it for Chivers, and it's beaten away by Derek Johnston. High towards Bell, who's onside. Back now for McFarlane. Played forward for Peters. Nodded delicately again for Colin Bell. A nice little chip there, but Scotland again get it away. Played wide by Ball for Hughes. Bremner going in for him. And Bremner really giving Hughes an awful lot of lip as well. An old feud that's been carried on over this last 20 minutes or so. And Hughes really inciting the Scottish crowd on the other side, instead of really getting on with the game. But now Bell winning the ball in the middle of the field. And is that the final whistle? No, I think it's a free kick. No, it's... Well, the players didn't seem to know at first, but that is the final whistle. Not the most glorious of home internationals between England and Scotland. The team separated by the goal from Martin Peters, the header at the far post. Alistair Hunter, who was beaten at last after making 2 very good saves. But the man who was never beaten, of course, was Peter Shilton, this magnificent England goalkeeper with 2 world-class saves and handling that looked as though it was secure enough to go straight into the Bank of England. So the band comes on to play again the national anthem at the end of a match that sees England the British champions again, but without really showing the same magnificent form that they showed for so long against Wales on Tuesday night. Alan Clark there with a Scottish shirt back to front on his back, and the disappointed Scots, who fought so brilliantly for 45 minutes. So from the pictures of relief from England and the pictures of disappointment from Scotland, it's our time now to catch up with the ITV panel to get their views on this home international won by England by a goal to 0 with the scorer Martin Peters. So let's go across to Jimmy Hill.
Well, the arguments are still going about that match. It deteriorated a little bit at the end. A good first half, a win for England. That makes most of the panel right. And Paddy Creran very disappointed. Paddy, what about it?
I'm not as disappointed as all that much. We lost 1-0, but I thought we played magnificently. We gave a bit of stick to Derek Johnston the other night. I thought he had a magnificent game alongside Jim Holton.
What's this week, Fred? I thought you were an Englishman.
Magnificent.
Yeah. What other performances stood out for Scotland?
Hay, David Hay.
Yeah.
Billy Bremner.
Works hard.
But the greatest performance in the world today was from the goalkeeper.
Yes.
England goalkeeper, what a performance. 100 out of 100 he gets.
He made two brilliant saves, and his all-round confidence was absolutely perfect.
But this what makes the game the most fantastic game in the world, football. Everyone was saying that England are going to do this, that and the other thing in next year, and suddenly we come down to square one again. I felt the game was won and lost really from Scotland's point of view. The first couple of minutes when Peter Lorimer really should have blasted that one in the...
I think
England's attitude was much better the second half.
I think that's the second time probably the likes of us have come on television and said about a certain team that they've got no chance of winning. And I think they get the needle with us probably more than anything else. And it raises their game.
You're always going to give Scotland a chance of winning at Wembley. They're playing a home match. There's 90% Scotland supporters there. They're playing a home match. If they can't be lifted for this game, they're never going to be lifted for a game. This is what the Hobart and Lasham Champs about this
really
game.
and truly, Jack. I mean, they never looked like. I mean, it was a great shot from Dalglish and a good shot from Lorimer early on, but outside that, they never really looked like creating anything.
Did England look like scoring? No, Martin Peters, nobody saw him. Nobody saw him when he gets one touch.
If you didn't see him in the game, let's have a look at him now. Scoring that goal, because the match was decided on one goal scored by Martin Peters, a player they call the Ghost. He comes in from nowhere and gets the kind of devastating goals. It was a dead ball movement, yet another goal scored when the game is being restarted. You can see Chivers comes on the dummy run there, which really made it, and leaving Peters all that space. I think we can look at it once more really in slow motion and see the run of Martin Peters taking Jim Holton with him, which makes the space. There he is. You can see the tussle going on. There was a push, in fact, by a forward, but he's determined to take Holton away, maybe get the ball himself, and there's the gap. The tall players up front are marked, but Peters has stolen in there from midfield, and from then on, he shouldn't really miss from that.
I don't think Jim Holton is too close with the right back in that situation, but I think he let him run a bit free there.
Well, I don't think
Martin Peters has scored goals in this position so many times, it's untrue.
I think that was probably England's best part of the game today. It was the set pieces, and you saw the first half where Alan Ball clipped one to the near post and Martin Chivers got a touch to it again. That was a hell of a good save from Alistair Hunter, who actually played very, very well indeed today.
Yes, he did.
Paddy's always on about Scottish goalkeepers, but we produced one this afternoon.
Yeah. I think if I was anybody from Scotland at the game today, I'd be very proud of the Scottish performance.
We've been talking about goalkeepers. Peter Shilton saved that one save from the volley. Sometimes in television, of course, you get the camera angle right, and we were right behind. Our view was the same as the camera's view, right behind that volley. And it really was a super volley from Kenny Dalglish from this corner. A really exciting volley that looked as if it was going in all the way. On the edge of the box, he didn't have much time to get himself in position. And look at that save.
Actually, when you looked at that, you know, Colin Steen was offside.
I know, but even at that, he's not.
He's in a definite position where and Peterson still got the ball.
We'll look now and see whether Colin Steen was offside, but I don't think it really matters because this was a lovely bit of football.
Well, it makes it matter
the
if it goes in the back of the net.
Shot and a save.
You think
and I think they've got two outstanding skills, one after the other. But he didn't ought to show.
But the ball went over his head and he still got the retriever.
It's the goalkeeper's wrong hand as well. I think that's the main thing.
Brilliant save.
And there he is in that position, number 16. Really looking in an offside.
We were talking about this before the match, and Malcolm made an outstanding point. Teams that whoever win and lose games always have a great goalkeeper. Even Jock Steen says it all starts from the goal. And Malcolm's and I have been having a running battle this afternoon. I think that Pat's the best goalkeeper in the world, but Malcolm's so set on Peter Shilton.
Well, I think that he's now found his feet as an England goalkeeper. You know, he's a terribly nervous guy, you know, and he was terribly tense in England games early on. But now he's had a few games that I think he's playing just as if he's playing his own club side, and I think that he will be a main asset to England in Munich.
It's interesting in a development international like that, they have to get over those early nerves, and he was very nearly lost it in round one, didn't he?
Rodney Marsh was telling me today, he was saying that Peter Shilton in the dressing room in the England match, you know, they played at Wembley, he was a bundle of nerves, you know, he was just like, he was really nervous, and the players noticed how nervous he was.
And of course the great problem really is Malcolm, he's taken over from the master Gordon Banks.
I've got to apologise to Johnson, he's a much better player.
Very nice. He did have a great game today, the two of them.
Well, the Scotland really, it's all
the
credit to
whole
Scotland
performance was way lifted above what they produced on Wednesday.
What about Martin Chivers' performance? Martin Chivers, Challen,
I wasn't impressed with the front three.
But the front three never got a kick. They were marked out of the game.
Never
by Hay, Holton and Johnson. They'd done a great job for Scotland.
They did bring up one great save
defenders, didn't they?
From Alistair Hunter. There it is now. This Chivers, you see, just 2 runs in the course of the game created danger. The first one he got to the ball and headed it there.
Volley as well in the second half.
There he is again on that near post run, jumping beautifully there, gliding the ball on, and a fine save.
That must have stuck in Jim Holton's mind, you know, when he was challenging for that last situation when Peter scored.
See, he's inexperienced, Malcolm. He's not all that experienced.
He was so worried about Chippers getting to the near post in front of him.
I think it also, Malcolm, I think the tactics of the Scottish was right today. Malcolm said there's going to be no goals before the match, so he wasn't far out there. They had to choke the whole midfield up, and they had to actually subdue the three C's, Chivers, Clark and Channon, you see. And all credit really to the centre half and the left half. They did a magnificent job, and little Danny McGrain, who we criticised so severely, he had a splendid game.
Malcolm, England's performance, you were scathing at half-time, they didn't use the width. I want to ask you two things. Players that sort of occurred to me maybe have been below their best. Emlyn Hughes, who doesn't play the sort of forceful game for England he does for Liverpool, and Colin Bell and Martin Peters, who really were players who one felt were playing in inhibited fashion.
Yeah, I was terribly disappointed in Emlyn Hughes. You know, I think he's had a fantastic season for Liverpool, and he's a great attacker. And Martin Peters, we never saw him in the game when he comes and scores this goal. You know, this is where football crucifies you. You know, when you're supposed to be a judge. You know, and Colin Bell made a lot of runs and made good runs in situations where the ball never came. And I think he gets a rather despondent playing for England because the ball hasn't come to him enough.
I think two players that could challenge for midfield roles is Tony Curry, and I think young Trevor Brooke, and to me he's the most impressed. I've been impressed more with him the last couple of years than any other midfield players in the country, and I think that Alan Ball really is a little bit shady. He's very good at delivering balls from set pieces, but other than that, he doesn't seem to contribute a lot.
They didn't let the ball go forward enough, England, today. The three England strikers are all front runners, the runners who go through, the run and make runs, and the one ball's playing to them. England across the back today played balls, especially people like Story. Instead of knocking balls up front and letting them run for them, they're playing balls square, and then they're playing square to Bobby Moore, and then out to Emlyn Hughes.
That's going to go on forever. The chat away, leave it for a moment, lads. We're going back, we're going to have a little break now, and then we'll come back with Dickie Davis in the studio. England and Scotland over, but there's a lot of other sport going on, and Dickie Davis will tell you all about it.
And now today's headlines from the world of sports. Soccer, and as you will have seen, England beat Scotland by 1-0 at Wembley Stadium and so win the home international tournament. And this is how the table looks at about 3.5 minutes to 5. England clinching the title they shared last season with a 100% record. Scotland at the moment in second place, having played their 3 games. Northern Ireland in third place with those 2 points, and Wales in last place. But don't forget that Northern Ireland and Wales play tonight at Goodison Park at 7:30. Now the rest of the headlines. Cricket. Glenn Turner hits his 3rd tour century as the New Zealand batsmen hammer the MCC attack at Lords. Centuries too for Ron Headley of Worcestershire and Graham Roop of Surrey in the Benson and Hedges competition. Racing, more tote roll-up trouble as the 2 substitute horses finished 1st and 2nd. Rugby League. Alan Hardesty, captain of Leeds, is sent off in the championship playoff against Dewsbury at Bradford. Dewsbury win 22 points to 13. Golf. The Ryder Cup men Bernard Hunt and Neil Coles head for victory in the £8,000 summary tournament. Tennis. Diane Fromholz, the 16-year-old Australian wonder girl, wins the Rothmans women's title at Guildford, her first championship success in this country. And another Australian, Yvonne Goolagong, takes the Mercedes-Benz title at Leon Solet. Now, before we bring you the news and results in depth, here's your pools check, the Australian score and no-score draws.
And the score draws, first of all: 2, Canterbury; 4, La Trobe; 7, Redlands; 10, Melbourne; 17, Springvale; 19, Croydon; 27, Corio; 28, North Carlton; 45, Kiev; 47, Windmills; and 53, Caledonian. No score draws: 9, Austria; and 43, Wakefield.
Well, there were 11 score draws, 2 no-score draws. Claims are wanted by telegram for 24 points. Dividends will be just moderate. And now cricket, and New Zealand's star batsman Glenn Turner struck another warning to England's bowlers at Lords today. Turner scored his 3rd century of the tour against the MCC in a style that threatens trouble for England in the forthcoming Test series. At tea, the tourist opening pair had taken the score to 180 without loss. Turner was 104 not out, and John Parker had scored 72. Other century makers were Graham Roop, who hit an undefeated 115 out of a Surrey total of 238 for 8 against Essex at Chelmsford. And in another Benson and Hedges Cup game, Ron Headley made 132 of Worcestershire's 274 for 8 against Oxford University. And now all the score details from Peter Scowcroft.
And we start first of all with the tour match. MCC versus New Zealand. New Zealand 180 for no wicket. And now we come to Nottinghamshire versus Middlesex. Middlesex 174 for 6. Derbyshire versus Lancashire. Derby 156 for 6, innings closed. Lancashire 61 for 2. Essex v Surrey. Surrey 238 for 8, innings closed, and Essex 83 for 1. Hampshire versus Gloucester. Gloucester 211 for 9, innings closed. Hampshire 7 for no wicket. Leicester versus Warwick. Warwick 208 for 9, innings closed. Leicester 55 for 2. Midland Counties, Minor Counties, North versus Yorkshire. Minor Counties 140 for 9, innings closed. Yorkshire 76 for 1. Somerset versus Glamorgan. Glamorgan 157 for 8, innings closed, and Somerset 23 for no wicket. Sussex versus Kent. Sussex 213 for 7, innings closed, and Kent 15 for no wicket. Worcestershire versus Oxford University. Worcester 274 for 8, innings closed, and Oxford 25 for 2.
Well, we're going to go back to Wembley to meet Sir Alf Ramsey. Before we do, let's have a look at England's winning goal. It came in the second half, maybe against the run of the play, but it certainly came from a set piece.
So Holton watching Chivers there, really quite a physical tussle there, pushing and shoving all the time. Ball now with this one, and on the far side, Martin Peters! Yes! That's for England! And Peters, who's had such a poor game so far, steals in as he does so often, and that's 1-0 for England.
Sir Alf, the goal that made all the difference, but then Martin Peters has got a habit of popping in goals of that sort, hasn't he?
Well, it was a very good goal, and obviously we're delighted when we score goals.
Yes, but it was a lot harder, I think, than a lot of people thought for England today.
Almost certainly it was a great match for all and everyone that saw it, and for those that played in it, I should think. The Scottish team played extremely well. Probably one of the best performances I've seen from a Scotland team in all aspects of the game, and I think probably England were a little fortunate to win by 1 goal. I think the Scots deserved a little more than they got.
Really, you feel that highly of
I think
Scotland?
that I thought so highly of their performance, and I thought all credit not only to the team but also to their manager.
Yes, because he had an awful job picking them up after
well,
the game against
I
Northern
can
Ireland.
visualise him having had a very difficult time since he took over in February, and I'm delighted that his team plays so well, and I told him so.
I think a lot of people felt that they outgunned England a little bit in the middle of the field. Was this a worry for you?
I think they did in the first half. Most certainly Billy Bremner, who had a very good match indeed, most certainly his best match against England, generally controlled and dominated midfield. In the second half we tried to put it right, and I think to some extent we did.
Yes. Sir Alf,